Hi everyone, welcome back to part 2 of what to do if you're falling behind on your monthly debt obligations. Last week we chatted about what is a debt consolidation loan and what is debt mediation. Now I don't have time to recap, so if you need to know more about that, you're going to have to watch last week's video. Today we're going to touch on debt counseling. Now debt counseling is typically known as a no-loan debt consolidation plan in the marketplace. And basically what that means is we consolidate your debt into one payment, but it's not a loan. So we're using your money to service your debt. Why is that good? Because you're not making more debt and paying interest to service your debt. So that is how it is different. We're using your own money to pay off your own debt. Okay, but we consolidate it into one payment. So basically, in a nutshell, let me just paint a picture. I am struggling at the moment. My debt is 10,000 Rand and my net pay is 10,000 Rand. So typically at the end of the month, I have no money to live because all my debit orders are coming off and I have no money to live, which is a problem. So what people typically do is they try and move money around. They make cash loans by loan sharks, which they have to pay back every single month. And they get into this cycle that really sort of is very stressful because of the fact that they're constantly worried and they don't feel free to live. So if that is something you are feeling and if that is you, I want you to know that there is a solution. And there is a way out. So typically what it is that we do to help you is we first set aside your living expenses. So if you're earning 10,000 Rand, we first set aside your living expenses because you need to live. First and foremost, you need to look after yourself and your family before you can even work. Because if you're not able to be if you are stressed out, you're not productive at work, then you're constantly staying out of work. It just impacts your entire life if you are stressed out about money. So essentially, we set aside all of your living expenses first. And what is living expenses? Money for groceries and food, water and electricity, school fees, cell phone contracts, DSTV, your insurance policies, traveling fee, all of those things are classified as living expenses. So we first set aside your living expenses. So in this example, I earn 10,000 Rand, my living expenses actually comes to about 6,000 Rand. So I only have 4,000 Rand left, but my debt is 10,000 Rand. So what happens now? So when you come to a debt counselor, basically they are registered with the NCR and they have the authority to negotiate with your credit providers because this process called debt counseling was implemented by the National Credit Regulator, which means that credit providers have to comply when a debt counselor negotiates a restructured payment plan for the consumer. So everything is monitored within that process, and so it's very important to note that if you're going to seek help from a debt counselor, that you check that that debt counselor is registered with the NCR. If they are not registered, then don't do business with them. Alright, so debt counselors actually have to re-register every single year with the NCR. So always make sure that you check that your debt counselor is registered. So what the debt counselor then does is they go to your credit providers and they say, my consumer only has 4,000 Rand available. We now need to rearrange her repayment plan so that she can have enough money to live and service her debt in a way that is comfortable. So basically what we do in that process is we waive her service fees. So those 69 Rands that you pay every single month, we ask that they zero that. We ask for reduction in interest rates, and then depending on your debt and whether it's a car or home, we then ask for an extension in terms so that all of your debt can be serviced with the 4,000 Rand that you have available. So what does that do? This entire process gives you legal protection. It's binding, and therefore your credit providers have to stick to the agreement for as long as it's been put in place, whether it's 2 years or 3 years or 5 years, depending on your situation. That's how long they have to stick to the rearrangement. All you need to do is make sure that you're paying the 4,000 rand that was agreed. And if you are doing that, you are protected against legal action, repossession, and blacklisting, which is really great in the event that you have assets. So it's a way that you can protect yourself and your family, work and live, and be comfortable, because remember, anything in life is not permanent. Everything has a season, and the key is for you to outlast the season. So there is a solution out there that works. Find out more about it. Please inbox me if you have any questions, and we can chat about the ins and the outs and what it is that you need to know. So thank you for your time. That's all I have time for. We will discuss some more. Part 3 will be next week. Don't forget to share and like my post with your family and friends, because this is a very important message for everybody. Thank you. Have a good evening.